Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another edition of Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael C. Norman. I'm so excited to be here with you on this marvelous Monday. And by the way, every Monday, we drop new videos so that you could be empowered and encouraged to reach your maximum potential. So make sure that you subscribe if you haven't done so, and then click the like button, click the notification button, so you'll be in the loop when the new videos drop, and you'll be informed and notified when they're scheduled to do so. Okay. But otherwise, we're here every Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do it in the morning so that we will have the evening available for other business ventures that I have to tend to. But I wanted to make sure I drop this in the morning so that you'll have it by this afternoon, this evening, or whenever you're watching this video. So today, as you can see in the header, I want to talk about bringing you to a place in your mindset to where you will never be broke another day in your life. Now, that's a bold statement. That's a bold declaration, but it's nonetheless achievable. This is not hyperbole. This is about how to harness principles. Now, I've said before, and I'll say it again, that success has a system. And if success has a system, then it would behoove us to engage that system for maximum output, for maximum blessings and benefit from it. So success does have a system. And so the system, there is a system that can lead you to a place where you are no longer dependent on a 9 to 5. Now, to say the least, most of us are well familiar with a 9 to 5, how to work every day, get up every morning. Some people 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning headed to work. Why? By and large, it's because we've been trained to do so. Now, it's not to say that it's a bad thing, but it is an acknowledgement of the fact that if you do your history where it concerns or corporations and mindsets of billionaires such as J.P. Morgan and Chase and all of the rest of these guys that has historical Carnegie, excuse me, who've amassed incredible amounts of wealth through the steel industry and when we were in the industrial age, when we no longer required horse and buggies, now we've moved to tractors and pickup trucks and 18 wheelers as such. But along the way, they required one thing required of all of those eras, whether it's the industrial era or now we're in the 21st century, so we're in the information age or the information era. But one thing is required of all of the eras, and that is people. Whether you were back in the agricultural era, where you had to have your own farm, but you needed people who can farm and harvest the crop for you. And then, of course, the larger your crop and your farm grows, the more requirement there is for more people because you can people are just a very limited resource, so you can only get so much out of one person till you have to hire on a second, a third, a fourth, 50, 10, 20, 30, that kind of thing. So what I want to talk to you today is related to, of course, how you can position your mindset so that you can go on to a place where you never have to be broke another day in your life. Now, again, I know that's an audacious statement and it's an audacious claim, but it's nonetheless possible. Is it easy? Not necessarily. Does it happen automatically? No, it doesn't, because if it happens automatically and by osmosis, everyone would be doing it. So there is some work that we or you have to do in order to achieve this status where you're no longer dependent upon a 9 to 5. I would, before I even get into the teaching, I would even assess that a 9 to 5 mentality is probably the reason why most people don't experience overwhelming amounts of wealth in their life when it comes to having income or money or shall I say perpetual income. I like to call it passive income, where how nice would it be for you to be laying up in your bed one morning and get a notification on your cell phone, hey, you just made an extra $10,000 while you slept. How incredible would that be to know that income can happen for you in real time while you're asleep? Some people can't even imagine that. They cannot even imagine the fact that you can make millions of dollars and never have to necessarily have a job to do so. As a matter of fact, I will go on to tell you that a job is really not designed to make you wealthy. A job is not designed to make you rich. Now let that sink in for a minute, because if you think that you're going to become independently wealthy or independently secure financially by virtue of your job, your 9 to 5, no matter how well they are paying you, you can be making $100,000 an hour. Well, you won't make 100,000, but you get the point. Make $100 an hour. Some lawyers make $500 an hour, and maybe even $1,000 an hour. But whatever the salary is, that's what dictates the quality of your life. Whatever the salary you may agree upon, 100,000, 200,000, whatever that case may be, whatever that salary is, it's what's going to determine the quality of your life. Now, that's not by evil intentions or anything of that nature. Because remember, any corporation that hires you, they're hiring you for what you can help the corporation achieve. More productivity, a greater market percentage. All of these, I need to bring in more employees to help me further the purpose of my business, whether it's a grocery store or a chain store, whatever it might be. Everything requires some level of human interaction in spite of AI. Okay. And so the mindset, if you check your history, the jobs are a means to help perpetuate corporations, not the individuals that work in the corporation, although they may pay you well. But the idea is they're going to put a cap on the level of income you can make. Why? Because they're not going to hire you to pay you more than what the company brings in, number one. And number two, the person hiring you is not going to allow for you to have a greater income than the CEO or regional director of the, unless you are the CEO. You're going to be the top. So my point is this: no corporation is going to hire you with the intent of helping you become independently wealthy. That's something you're going to have to make happen for yourself, because every job comes with a ceiling, a cap, that you can make up to this dollar amount, as much as this dollar amount, but no further, because that's all we can offer you, or that's all we are willing to offer you. So the first thing you've got to begin to change about anything in your life is your mindset, your attitude, to realize that my job is only going to afford me a certain level of financial increase. It's only going to afford me a certain level of lifestyle. Okay. It's going to determine the car you drive, the house you live in, how many vacations you can take, if any vacations at all. It all stems from how much your corporation is willing to pay you. So when you break free of that mindset, again, I'm not saying that that's an evil mindset or that the corporation is evil. Every business requires someone to work the business. Okay. But for those who have an ambition to do more, to have more, to be more, then you're going to have to realize that's on me. That's something I've got to do for myself. And one of the things you're going to have to do for yourself, the very first thing that you're going to have to do for yourself, is to change your attitude about your work. You'll have to change your attitude about everything surrounding wealth. You're going to have to change your attitude about everything concerning being rich. Do you not know there are certain people who despises the rich? They don't like rich people at all. Well, can I tell you this one thing at the onset of this lesson today? Uh, if you don't like, or if you despise the rich, spoiler alert, you will never become one. Because if you despise the rich, then your mentality is of such that it prevents you from ever becoming one of them. Please get that into your mind today, right now. That if you just completely offended by the rich, the uber rich, those that have more than enough, then you will never be one. Okay, you'll never be one of them. But if you listen to them, and one of the greatest things that you can ever do is find someone who's doing what you want to do, have what you want to have, being what you want to be, the best thing that you can do is to query them, get next to them, cozy up next to them, and begin to inquire, what sort of mindset do I need to develop in order to achieve the same level of wealth and success that you've achieved? That's the smartest thing. Rather than criticizing and berating them, join. What does it take? Join in with them and ask, what does it take? Because I've discovered that money has an attitude issue. Yes, money does have an attitude issue. Where it concerns those that don't like money, money will never show up in your life. Money is more like a person than a thing, because the way you treat money is the way money will treat you. Now, I'm not saying, if you've been listening, I'm a believer in the Bible and the scriptures and the principles of the Bible, and as such, you can't love money more than people. You got to love people first. You got to love people and use money, okay, and never get it twisted or inverted, where you use people and love money. No, if you love people, then you'll by divine purpose, you'll come into the mindset, and God will divinely bring before you the means and methods that can help bring you into wealth and riches. All right. That being said, I want to remind you of a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad Poor Dad. He once wrote that you can determine how wealthy you are based on how many days you can live at the same level without a job. If you can quit your job today and never have to worry about losing your car, your house, or falling behind in your bills and things of that nature, then you are rich, according to Robert Kiyosaki, and that makes sense to me. Now, the same is true that if you can live 30 days without working, then of course you're 30 days rich. So whatever you did in those previous 30 days that allowed you and afforded you the opportunity to live at the same level without losing anything, then you need to multiply that out for the rest of the year and for the rest of your life. And at some point, you got to learn how to scale up and make it bring even more resources into your life. So in my little notes here, I also included that no one has a lack issue. Let me say that again. No one has a lack issue. What they have is an awareness issue. And this goes again to the issue of your attitude towards money. If your attitude towards money is negative, then I've already told you that money is more like a person than a thing. And as such, when you don't have a healthy attitude about money, then money won't have a healthy attitude about you. It's kind of one of those things. It's a trade-off. You do unto me as you would have me do unto you. So if you respect me, if you appreciate me, then I will respect and appreciate you. Money will do the very same thing you do to it. So it's important for you to understand. So again, but all of this happens by changing your attitude. Changing your attitude. Because if you don't change your attitude, then you will create cycles in your life. If you've never evolved, if you've never moved from one mindset to the next, if you're not maturating or growing, then you're going to create cycles. And unfortunately, they're going to be negative cycles. Cycles of lack, reoccurring issue of not having enough, having more months at the end of your money instead of more money at the end of your month. Okay. So if you understand that, then this is the process that begins to bring you out of the financial generational, almost perpetual patterns that shows up in your life. If you change your mindset, you can literally change your asset. That's a bar right there. If you change your mindset, you can change your assets. Your mentality affects your reality. And everything that I teach and everything that you will hear me teach, inevitably, it's going to involve your mindset. Because everything, your mindset is your central nervous system, just like your brain is to your body, it is also to your life. If your brain doesn't tell your lungs to pump oxygen, you will cease to breathe and consequently cease to live. So your mindset affects every aspect of your life. You got to get this. If you don't get anything else, you must grasp this and hold on to the reality that my mindset will affect my assets. If you want more, you've got to become more here first. Wealth and riches is not about what's in your bank account. It's not about and has nothing to do with what's in your 401k. Wealth and riches has to first has to deal with what's in your mind. And when you become wealthy in your mind, it'll show up in every aspect of your life. And because you'll be able to see the things that you've never been able to see before, and then you'll be able to hear the things you've never heard before. Because because in your previous life, your mindset was so geared towards lack and insufficiency till you couldn't pay attention to wealth and increase. Now, I want to share a very important scripture from the Bible. And again, that's how I draw my info, my insight, and my encouragement. So in Genesis, the first chapter, most of you all know, you don't have to get your Bible for this, but I just want to share this story with you. So in the Garden of Eden, when God creates everything, 7 days it takes for him to create everything. And when he's finished, he informs Adam and Eve of every thing that I've created, every fruit of every tree that I've created, you may eat of. You may freely eat of everything. So again, the Garden of Eden is a protected place that has boundaries. Those boundaries are not to prevent you from moving out as much as to prevent outside from moving in. So you have to live a very isolated life in many cases. I'm not saying that you have to be alone, but you have to be isolated away from negativity, away from poverty mindsets, because association breeds assimilation. Whatever you hang around, you become. Okay? So here it is in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve are instructed by God. Do not. Now, of every tree of the garden, you may freely partake of. I don't know how many species of trees and fruit that were in the garden, but we know it was the majority, okay? So he says, of every one of these trees you may freely eat of, but there's just one tree I don't want you to eat from. Because in the day that you eat of that tree, the fruit of that tree, you will surely die. Now, I'm going to show you how a poverty and scarcity mindset affects us still today. Because here it is in the Garden of Eden, there's a multitude of trees, apple trees, pear trees, apricot, all of these things are available. But God gives them one caveat, one law that says, do not eat of the fruit of this tree. Of all the other trees you may freely eat of. And so all the other trees represents wealth. It represents abundance. It represents having more than enough. He says, so you can have an abundance, you can have wealth, you can have more than enough. But I don't want you to eat of this one tree right here. That one tree represents lack, because death is lack. Lack is a byproduct of death. If you die, you can't produce anything, whether it's a physical death or corporate death. Your company dies, it can't produce, and as such, you can't bring increase. So he says, I want you to pay attention to abundance, because that's made for you. This is not. This will kill you. This will cause death to come into your life. Okay? So now, what is he saying? He wants us to give attention to wealth, increase, and abundance, because that's our divine inheritance. But we have access to lack to scarcity, and ultimately to death. We have access to that. So God, in his infinite wisdom, has given us the ability to make choices, to choose what type of life do you want to have. You can have the abundant life or you can have death. Now, this is what creates cycles in our lives because many people do like Adam and Eve did. They choose scarcity and lack and death because the one thing that they focused on is the thing that brought death and lack to them. So if you focus on lack and scarcity, that's what you're going to experience. Why? Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. You're actually, do I need to say that one more time? Okay, one more time. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. You see how it works? So when you give attention and focus to lack, scarcity, and death, then it's no strange thing when it happens and it manifests in your life. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And you're literally, you become your own saboteur. Because abundance is waiting right here for you. There's nothing stopping. You have equal access to either or. So it's an issue of your choice. That's why success is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. So if you choose wealth and abundance, then you're going to experience it at a certain level. But at the same time, you have the right to choose death, lack, and scarcity. You have that right. So now I shall ask you in the words of Joshua, choose ye this day which way you will go. Abundance of all of these trees you may freely eat of. But this one, do not touch, do not eat it. For in the day that you eat of it, you're going to activate a cycle of lack and scarcity. And so that's what happens. More people are focused on the lack and the scarcity than they are on abundance and increase and wealth. That's now, you say, no, that's not me. Well, before we, and I'm not here to condemn anyone, but think of it this way. We all have the opportunity to choose what we think, right? So when you find yourself in a position where it looks like you don't have enough, I don't have enough money to pay this month's rent, or I don't have enough of this or that, whatever the case may be, whenever you give more attention to what you don't have, then you will continue to not have. Let me say it again. Whatever you give more attention to, whenever you give more attention to what you don't have, you're creating an environment to never have it. Okay? It's just as simple as that. Because the way God created all of us is wherever our mindset goes, wherever our attention goes, that's where our energy begins to flow. So if you give your attention and your energy to lack, to not having, I don't have enough, I don't have enough, and that's all you continue to think about, then what you're saying, you're saying, I would like to have more of that. Whenever you continue to rehearse, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough education, and all this, whatever you begin to rehearse over, whatever that is, you prepare your life to experience it. Because death and life are in the power of your tongue. And the more you talk about lack, scarcity, and not enough, you'll experience lack, scarcity, and not enough. That's just the way we're all designed. So now but again, you have the right to choose. You can choose wealth, abundance, and more than enough, or death, lack, scarcity, and not enough. Because again, if you focus on lack, scarcity, and not enough, You are literally creating a world filled with lack, scarcity, and not enough. Why? Because the power of the tongue. There's a scripture also that says that death and life are in the power of the tongue. We all have one. That's what levels the playing field. Even if you're not born into a wealthy family, if you've got a tongue, you have the potential to gain wealth and increase because it's available. Remember, of all the trees of the garden, you may freely eat of. But if you choose lack and not enough, then you're going to experience it. So we're all endowed with the power to choose. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. What am I saying? You will literally eat your words. I know that's a colloquial saying that we've said before, and we say it all the time. But the truth of the matter is, you will eat your words. The words that are coming out of your mouth on a continuous basis, the words that you declare, the words that you speak on a continual basis is going into the atmosphere, and it creates, because whatever happens on earth happens, well, let's say it this way. Whatever happens in the physical realm starts in the spiritual realm, the unseen realm. That's where everything emanates from. So your words starts in the unseen realm. When the words that you're speaking goes into that unseen realm, and then it creates whatever it is you've been talking about, and then eventually it shows up in the material world or the physical world. So that's how it works. So when I say death and life are in the power of the tongue, you are literally placing an order for your life. It's just like being at the restaurant. I would like to have the salad, or I would like to have the salmon, or my favorite fish, the sea bass. When you place that order with your tongue, or your tongue, that's what the waiter is going to bring out. You can't, when you ask for a piece of fish, but he brings you a piece of steak. There's a conflict. There's some sort of breakdown in communication here. I didn't ask for steak. I asked for fish. Okay. Well, in the realm of the unseen, whatever you speak, they get the order right every time. There's never a miscommunication. If there's a miscommunication, it's because we communicated it. Some people say, I didn't ask for this to happen. I didn't ask to lose my job. I didn't ask for bad health. I don't know. You need to check about what it is you've been saying. You need to check in on that and see, what have you been declaring? Everybody's getting sick. This is flu season. I don't have a flu season. I don't have a cold and allergy season. I never do. I don't call that. That's not something I'm ordering for myself. you know, what I'm ordering is health, vitality, strength. No matter what I see in the physical, I'm placing it in order to the spiritual so that it can become physical. Okay. And the same thing works with money. And every day you wake up, you declare, I am so grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis. Even if you don't know how it's going to happen, where it's going to come from. That's not your business. God will divinely create a scenario where you will meet the exact person you need to meet in order to make what you've been declaring become a reality. The words that have been coming out of your mouth, God will supernaturally. Have you ever met somebody or someone call you and you say, I literally was just thinking about you? That's the kind of thing that will happen. God will bring things into your life. He will cause happenstance. That's what we call it, right? I call it divine happenstance, because God is behind the scenes orchestrating your life based on what you've been saying. And the more you declare it, you're going to experience. What you've been saying will meet up with material, and it will manifest in your life. So be careful of the words you say. If you want wealth and increase, you got to talk wealth, and you got to buy the books. You got to watch videos. You've got to partner with a coach or a mentor, someone that helps to keep you on the straight and narrow. You got to have that in your life because it does not happen by osmosis. And no one becomes successful on their own. We're all a byproduct of coaching, mentorship, and books that we read, videos that we watch. I literally have a plethora of books here in my tablet. I read, I listen to, or my notes that I take. I mean, I have copious amounts of notes that I've taken from coaches and mentors that I write down so that I can go back and read it again and rehearse it. Because if you continue to rehearse it, eventually it will begin to manifest in your life. That's the way God has created this thing we call life. You've heard it said that there's more to life than meets the eye. Well, that is a true saying, because your eyes, your physical eyes, can only see at a 0.0035% of what actually exists. It's called the electromagnetic wave spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum is the spectrum by which you perceive with your natural eyes, your physical eyes. Just like dogs can hear at a higher rate and a higher level than humans can, because they can hear at a wider spectrum. We're only viewing and listening and hearing at a small percentage of the actual spectrum. So you cannot afford to be influenced solely by what you see with your natural eyes and what you hear with your natural ears. Because you if you see negativity happening, or something happening negative, or you hear the flu is in, coming around, uh, you will buy into it based on what your eyes and your ears are telling you. Everyone is getting it. Everybody's getting the flu. Everybody's getting COVID-19. No, everyone isn't. A lot of people have, but not everybody. And a lot of those that didn't get it is because they just did not buy in to the idea. They didn't just open up the welcome mat and say, come on in, COVID, come on in, flu, by saying, this is the flu season. Everybody's going to get it. Not. Okay? So again, remember, you've got to educate. That's why watching these videos, tuning in, subscribing to this channel, sharing. I can't emphasize how important that is, that you share, because we want as many people to get this information as possible. Why? Because it is life transforming. You cannot expect transformation without information. Information is the key to transformation. Again, the Bible says that my people are destroyed for the lack of information. If you don't get information, you will not get manifestation. All right? So I trust what you've heard has been a blessing to you these past few moments. I trust, again, that if it's been going fast, I would encourage you to go back and play this video over and over and over again. Make it part of your daily routine, that you listen. Every day I'm listening to something that's feeding me so that I can think higher. And then I talk higher and I experience higher. I listen to wealth, I think wealth, and I'm receiving wealth. I meet people that helps me achieve more wealth. And it will happen for you, because again, God, the divine creator, is not a respecter of persons. So when he creates a principle, when he creates a law, it works for everyone, whether you're sacred or secular. The law of gravity works for everyone. So begin to harness it and cause it to work for your good rather than your detriment. Okay? All right. Thank you again for tuning in. I look forward to you joining me again on our next video. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe. And if you have questions, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at the email address listed in the description at wisdom@michaelnormanministries.com. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, blessings.